Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the EUMANS Weekly Meeting. As some of you know, this is the way that we are preparing for the Congress of EUMANS in Warsaw, which we are aiming to have in March 2022. And tonight I'm super happy to have a few new potential activists, for sure, engaged citizens. With some of them we met last Sunday when we had here in Brussels a demonstration for the law against homo, lesbo, bi, transphobia in Italy. But of course that demonstration in Brussels had a more European approach. And tonight we are gonna further discuss the preparation of the Congress in Warsaw, but it's also an opportunity for Isabella, Martina, Sara, to maybe share with us some of the activities and the ideas that you are working on, and see if maybe there are spaces for funneling some initiatives toward the Congress in Warsaw. In a few minutes, we will also be joined by Cosimo Caridi, who is an Italian journalist that is currently covering the migrants emergency on the border between Poland and Belarus. He's going to be able to stay with us only 15 minutes because he's actually physically on the border. But I thought it was a good opportunity to have someone telling us from the ground what is happening. Also because the migrant crisis is another element of attention as we prepare our way toward Warsaw. Maybe I can ask Marco to, since we have a lot of new people, to help us and introduce the meeting with a recap, but also an updated recap on the Congress in Warsaw and the opportunity that the Congress is for citizens like us to bring the topics that we want to bring there, but also to create opportunities for pan-European activation. So Marco, maybe do we want to...
Well, Virginia, no, I would prefer that you go on and explain that, because I don't want to be too general. I just insist always on the point that we would like to deal with some political issues of a major importance through the involvement of citizens from different countries. So I see even the issue at the border of Belarus and Poland are hijacked completely because of intergovernmental and interinstitutional fight. There is no place and no room for citizens to have their say. And this is true for the rule of law problem. This is true for, I don't know, climate change negotiation. So it's really a matter of method. We would like to have in Warsaw, not foreigners coming to Poland teaching what should be done on democracy and the rule of law, but citizens from different countries discussing among themselves on how we could activate the instruments of popular initiative for the benefit of some specific political goals. So nothing more to add, and if you have some more information to share, and also then to listen to the update on the border issue. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Marco. So maybe whilst we wait for Cosimo, but then we interrupt when he joins, I would like to ask in particular Isabella, if she can speak, to tell us something about her organization that is focused on, I know, here is Cosimo, so we'll skip to that part later and let's focus on him to start. 1 second. Okay, give me just 1 second. Okay, welcome, Deborah. Okay, so just to summarize, in the meantime that the connection of Cosimo gets started. So the political pillars of the Congress will be four main broad issues. The first one is the rule of law. The second one is civil rights in terms of portability of civil rights. So how European citizens can benefit of civil and fundamental rights across border of the European Union to start with. The third pillar is ecology and economical sustainability. And the fourth one is the rule of law and human rights. So these are the four cornerstones of the Congress. So before starting, Cosimo, can you hear me and can you speak?
Yes, I do.
Eccolo. Ciao, welcome.
Ciao. I'm sorry, I'm just blocked in the car, so I will do that like from the back seat.
It's
I know
cool.
it's not gonna be like that. It's not the best way ever, but it's something.
So thank you very much. Let me just introduce you to the people here. So Cosimo is a freelance journalist. Every time that there is a crisis somewhere, he is there covering that. A freelance journalist, and is currently in the hottest place in Europe at the moment, probably, which is the border between Poland and Belarus. And I asked him to join us tonight to give us a bit of a overview of what is happening, but also to have the opportunity to ask you a couple of questions for what is important for us as a movement, which is what is happening from a civil society perspective and organization perspective on the ground, which is completely different of what governments are doing. But maybe if you want to start and give us as much information as you can.
Okay, like I guess like the big point right now in this area is like journalists, NGO, any kind of organization cannot work. I mean, like Poland, the government, Duda, decide that like the 3-kilometer border zone is out of any kind of reach for no one that is not resident or part of the system. That is meaning like army, police, border patrol, like general army forces. So there are few volunteers still working in the area. So they are like, I would say a number, but it's not relevant. I would say like a couple of hundreds, but it's not true. It could be more, could be less. In those days, it's really difficult, even for them that they know the situation and the area, to get close to the border. So the problem right now is we have the major crisis in Poland that Poland is facing since maybe like the last 5 or 6 years, and there are no one witnessing or in make like an intervention on that. In the other side, in Belarus side, we don't have as well NGO, maybe someone from Red Cross. We do know that like MSF is starting like mobile clinic or something like that, but they didn't start yet. They will start in the future. And as well, we don't have independent journalists on their side. The possibility to get an accreditation from the army in the Belarusian from Minsk, it's pretty difficult. As you followed like the news in the last year, you know that journalists were kicked out or silenced in Minsk. So the issue is we have a crisis. The first time in I would say in the European area that we cannot even speak with like the proper basis of knowledge and capacity about what's going on. The number are not big. The number is like, we have like 3,000-4,000 people on the border right now, maybe a little bit less because someone caused to the cold decide to leave and they left, they went back to Minsk, or they tried to smuggle to get in contact with smugglers, maybe to go north to Latvia. We don't know yet, but like it's the number is really small. And the response of the European Union, the European institution is we agree with Poland about everything, more or less. I mean, like Michel showed up yesterday in Warsaw. We know that like Merkel called Putin to speak with Lukashenko, and at the end, what we understood that the geopolitical issue is much bigger than the migrant right now. So we are speaking about a possibility that in the next few days or few weeks, we're gonna have another peak of arrivals from the planes from Beirut, Abu Dhabi, Istanbul, and they will get again in Minsk. And once in Minsk, it takes like a few hours or a couple of days to get on this border. So, and it's pretty frustrating for us as journalists because we cannot get on the stories, we cannot speak with the people, and it's pretty frustrating for the humanitarian operation that they cannot even start something in here.
Can you explain what? So basically, people are, just to be clear. So basically, people are arriving at the border, and then Poland is preventing them to get in, basically, with the army and etc.
Yeah.
Right?
So we do have like 20,000 operational in between police and army on the border in the Polish side. We don't know the number that they have like in the Belarusian side. Since August, there are fences, barbed wire on the border, and the people coming from Belarus, they are gathering in front of these fences, and it's like it's a forest, but not even like it's like this kind of small forest from the Central Europe. So you have like many places which like you cannot even see with a drone how many people there are in, how many. It's like it's tricky to speak about numbers and person in there. The issue is we can see from the images that the Belarusian TV and like some media agency in Moscow broadcast that there are like in between 2,000 and 3,000 people in front of the fences, plus some other people in the bushes. The Polish are creating like a system in which like nobody can cross in front of them. If someone will cross because they cut the barbed wire and it's going to be like maybe 20, 40 kilometers away from there, they will be catch by dogs, patrol, or what.
I have a couple of other questions. I know you don't have a lot of time, but
Please.
Does anyone have any question for Cosimo? Because I have. Okay, I go.
May I do?
Bye, Sibi.
I don't understand. Are you saying that there are people that are still coming to the border? There are more people that are coming, but they don't know what is the situation?
I mean, like once you open like a flux of migration, there's not like a tab that you open and close. As once you say that you can reach Europe, the war starts spreading. So people right now in Damascus, I saw a footage made like yesterday night in Damascus airport. There are queuing because people are visa to get to Belarus. So yes, we have people coming. Yesterday, I was speaking with like Belarus dissident. He said to me that there are 20 new flights already on the move for the next week. We had like 50 last week and 20 the next week. I would consider that not all the passenger of the flights will be like migrants, but we can assume the half. So in the next 15, 20 days, we can have like 5,000, 6,000 people more, maybe not on the border, maybe in Minsk. But yes, there are people still coming.
From a quality of information perspective, technically is the community of journalists trying to address the fact that there is this red zone that can't be, I mean, which are the rules in theory of for journalists in this kind of situation, and if there is anything that is happening to demand more access to the situation?
It's really frustrating for all of us. I guess that we are living I mean, like me, myself, I will leave tomorrow. And many people are coming in the next few days. There are one part of the community that has to reply to the request from the media. Once a breaking news like that exploit, people have to show up and start speaking with like the customers, with like the people in each country that want to read and want to understand what's going on. It's the first time for me getting like in a genesis of a refugee camp and not be able to speak with the people in there. I mean, like I did like that in Asia and Africa and South America, and always the situation is the same. A flux of people getting to the border or like to a fences or something like that. Press is with them. So we start reporting from the very moment in which they cannot move anymore. And usually the police come and try to limit the access to the point. This time is incredible because like we never had access to the point. So like it's frustrating. I will say that in the next 2 or 3 days, you will see a lot of TV show prime time will arrive and they'll start broadcasting from here. So I don't really know if the news will go up again or will go down. For sure, the crisis is not over. This is just the beginning. I guess that we have to focus a bit about the area, and there are many possibilities that the crisis will move to Latvia in the coming weeks or maybe months. It depends a lot of what Lukashenko is planning to do and what Putin is thinking to do with Lukashenko.
Thank you, Cosimo. I don't want to steal too much of your time, so I guess you want to use your last night there to try to get as much information as possible.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and
thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Okay, so I just want to relate what we just heard with what Judge Monica Frakowiak was telling us last week, also about the media in Poland in itself. So I think the freedom of information is definitely also something that we need to take in mind when we consider that part of Europe, or all Europe, but that part of Europe in particular. Okay, so now what I wanted to suggest is, I don't know if Isabella or Deborah can speak, but since we met during an event related to civil rights, and your organization is a European organization that focuses on mainly sex education programs in schools and so on, but I don't know if having a look at the concept of the Congress of EUMANS in Warsaw, you had some ideas, or you want to share with us some goals that you have that might become part of what we are trying to build toward Warsaw.
So we gave a look at the points highlighted in the doc, and we are pretty interested in the points. Me myself, I'm interested in economy and sustainability in particular, and participatory democracy. I don't know if you want to ask us something in particular.
No, my interest was mainly related to the fact that you focus on part of what is the foundation of civil rights and everything that relates to the LGBTQ community, because part of the rights are about, marriage or access to reproductive rights and things like that. But I think your perspective and maybe your overview of the European Union, and maybe also in the Eastern part of Europe, if you have anything that you think is relevant, or where you think some forms of activation of participatory democracy could be helpful from the work that you do on a daily basis on these issues.
Actually, we didn't talk about it, but maybe we can talk about it later, and then we will get back to you.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, guys, the floor is open, so I can speak forever, but...
No, okay.
I can ask something after Lorenzo?
Vai, Lorenzo and Sibilla.
No, okay, I will try to connect dots between what has been said until now, and also to clarify in which way I think EUMANS and Warsaw Congress could be helpful in helping these, let's say, battles for rights in several East European countries. But in general, everywhere in Europe. What we are doing in Italy, and now I'm talking also as a EUMANS coordinator in Italy, is to build new rights through participatory democracy. It's something that we did with euthanasia, for instance, collecting signatures for the right to die, and also regarding cannabis, we started two referendum campaign in Italy this summer, and now we are trying to do the same through digital signature. This is the big news about Italian direct democracy. Since last summer, it's possible to collect digital signature on official referenda. We're trying to do the same also on a citizen assembly for climate, which we could say somehow is a right, the right to live in a safe space and environment. So also climate could be considered one of the main issues of these times and of the rights that we have to fight for. So I am wondering in which way, talking about Europe, in Belarus, in Poland, maybe in Belarus even more because it's out of the EU, can be perceived as a way of getting more rights. We have the chance, paradoxally, when we are in Eastern Europe, we have the chance to that the EU can be perceived as a political thing that it's related to more rights somehow because of the situation in this country. Something that probably in Western Europe is a lot less perceived in this way. So since our name, EUMANS, has also these two letters, EU, and it's also the idea, could be connected to the idea that activists in Poland, Belarus, and particularly Eastern Europe, because of the value that EU has in this country, how this activity can be transformed in a European initiative, not necessarily a signature collection initiative, but an initiative. So I think the kind of thing that we could discuss, it's also how on civil rights we can transform an initiative, the action that we are talking about in a political initiative. And yeah, this is something maybe a little bit obvious, but I wanted to make it clear just because of the continuing of the discussion this could be a good angle to see how the things we are fighting for can be an initiative at European level. I think this is the starting point, and I think that we will understand and put in practice in Warsaw.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Sibilla.
I don't have a proposition. I want only to share my sensation of angoscia, and for what we said before, and the sensation to be without power in front of something that is really too high, and that the citizen can perhaps do something, but it's something that I feel very frustrated. That's.
Thank you for sharing, Sibilla. One of the things that I was thinking is that we were yesterday with Marco, we met the MEP Alessandra Moretti from Partito Democratico and SND, and we were discussing a few ideas and connections with politicians and not in Poland. And also one of the things that I think we should discuss as we prepare the Congress is the fact that we are gonna need to go to Poland at a certain point before the Congress for creating connections, meeting the people there, the university, even the Italian consulate and assembly, yeah, sorry. Embassy, sorry, I have assemblies in my mind. So I don't know also what Marco thinks about potentially this situation that is happening right now, and how maybe thinking about doing this trip before the end of the year could make sense and connect.
I think. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm connecting so that the potential visit to Poland is not just a visit and it's not just meeting organizations and activists, but it could have also a political meaning in itself.
Well, of course, I think it's needed to go there, but before maybe we should, we are just at the beginning. You are the only one who made this connection work, and I think that I also should help you and other people that can volunteer with that too. And maybe for the next meeting to share the list of contact and the replies that we received by now. So which universities, which activists, so to share the file of contacts with people and organizations that we were able to join by now. This is the first thing. And the other is to start to have a chart of the proposal that, as Lorenzo was saying, can be transformed in the political initiatives for the different items that you mentioned will be at the center of the conference in Warsaw. So if we are talking about reproductive rights and abortion, what can be done at the European level? If we are talking about LGBTQ+, what can be done at the European level? If we're talking about end of life, what can we do at the European level? And the same is true for migration. I know there was a few years ago, the European Citizen Initiative about migration, they did not reach the signature. Welcoming Europe was the name, I think. It would be interesting to understand what of that platform is still active as possible goals. I know that there are some point in which European politics is crossing the emergency at the border between Belarus and Poland. First of all, Frontex, the role of the public EU agency to control, to patrol the border. Are we contributing as European citizens to drones that are patrolling the border and helping in arresting people over there. So this is something is done in our name, in a way. The second issue is about building barriers at the borders of Europe. Some European governments are pushing hard to have European money used to build walls and borders at the border of the Union. I am personally very against this perspective, but we should also understand what's going on from an institutional point of view. Is this something that is done through the EU budget? Well, if possibly, yes. So maybe a way to deal with this issue could be to understand if something, maybe Alessandra Moretti could help us on that, or Eleonora Evi or others, MEP, if the issue of using European money to patrolling the border is an issue dealt through the European budget, because in this case, European budget is under consideration right now from the European Parliament and EU institution. So European Citizen Initiative is a huge thing with a very long-term possibility. Is not thinkable. The possibility of dealing with the crisis from Belarus to from the border Belarus-Poland through the European Citizen Initiative. This is unthinkable, but maybe the EU budget is a way. So I think we should put on the table political proposal and contacts and try to understand what is our raw material to build the Congress and discuss the initiative that can be on the agenda of our Warsaw Congress.
Thank you, Marco. And I think what you just said helped me to answer to a question that Deborah asked me in the chat. So Deborah, sorry for the outing. Deborah was rightfully asking.
It's fine.
Do you want to clarify the question? Do you want to say the question so we put it up for the debate? So if you say it out loud.
Yeah, sure. So I don't have the picture clear about the conference in Warsaw. And then I want to know what do you want to achieve concretely and the structure of the conference. So if you want us to contribute with local initiatives or else, I don't know.
Okay, try to answer this question connecting with what Marco was saying. So the structure is we are building it, so it's a collective process. But the idea, the concept where we start is to have these 4 areas of issues. So civil rights, rule of law and democracy, ecology and economy, and digital rights mainly, but not only. And in these areas to identify issues where I would say, and I connect what Marco was saying, issues where there is existing mobilizations of European citizens. Let's use abortion as an example. So abortion is an issue for Polish women. And for example, they are right now collecting signatures for a bill of popular initiative for a new abortion law in Poland. But abortion is also an issue in Italy for other reasons. For example, for the question of the issue of, I don't know in English, obiettori di coscienza, how do you say? Okay, we are a lot of Italians, so I say obiettori di coscienza to explain. And the fact that there is a systematic limitation to access abortion because of the amount of doctors that use this right that they have in a systematic way that is not related to conscience itself. Or, for example, carbon pricing in the European Union, which is one of the goals of Union and globally, which is one of the goals of EUMANS. What does it mean to have carbon pricing policies in the European Union, given the fact that different member states have different level of dependency on not renewable resources, for example. So the idea is that for these pillars to do exactly what Marco was saying, to check who is working on that issue at a national level, and to try to identify some sort of, during the Congress or before, as we go toward the Congress, to identify some goals that can be brought at a European level instead of a national level. So on one side, the Congress is a way to elaborate and study these proposals and discuss that, and to develop strategies from Warsaw on to carry on that initiatives at a European level, with campaigns that are a combination of the activation of the right instruments of participatory democracy, but also with networks of citizens and civil society organizations that can act together at the European level instead of the national level. So if I have to summarize, but again, it's up for discussion, is to go out from the Warsaw Congress with a package of European level initiatives where there is an agreement between different European citizens to work on that in the framework of the direct democracy instruments available at the European Union level. That could be European citizen initiatives, petitions to the parliament, or other forms of participation. The value of the participatory democracy element, I try to represent it with what we did with stopglobalwarming.eu, the European initiative for carbon pricing. So we launched the initiative 2 years ago, and we, due to the pandemic, we got a few extensions for that. So the final day for the collection of the signatures was the 22nd of July. The fact that we activated the instrument of participatory democracy, even if we didn't collect the signatures, allowed the European Parliament last week to use a rule, an article of the regulation to transform the European Citizen Initiative into a petition to the European Parliament, which means that through that, the members of the European Parliament can focus on that issue and insert that in their agenda of resolutions, studies, direct actions with the member states, and a series of obligations that they have when a petition is open at the European Parliament. So activating these instruments helps citizens to get a seat at the table somehow in the process of the European Union. So the more we prepare Warsaw with this approach, the more potentially we have a platform of initiatives that can be carried on collectively across the EU. That's a bit the, I don't know if it answers your question, since it's a work in progress, it's not that clear yet, the output, the exact output, but the process is more or less this.
Okay, thank you, Virginia. And I have another question. So in Warsaw, are we going to meet with other people and discuss about these points, or?
Exactly, that's the idea.
Fine.
That's the idea.
Okay. Thank you.
Exactly. Oh, I mean, to do that in preparation of, because we need to build up, but also to be there with people potential. And this is also connected to the fundraising that we will able to do with EUMANS for that. But of course, the goal is to have also an experience that can be online and offline. So who can be there, of course, will be there, but also it can be something that can be benefited even for those who cannot be in Warsaw. But yes, the goal is to have as many people as possible there to work on this framework.
Okay, and are you already collaborating with other organizations, or?
This is the report that Marco asked me to prepare. So we have some connections and we are building that. So last week we had here a judge from Poland, from an organization which is called Justicja Polska, which is one of the organization of the judiciary system in Poland that is organizing the demonstrations for the rule of law in Poland, and they are interested in working with us. They really appreciated the fact that EUMANS is not a political party, but it's still political. So for them, it's easier, you know, to be engaged with something that is not related to any party, but still has a political approach. And then we are trying to create connections with environmentalists. I see there is Andrea Salimbeni. So he's looking for, Andrea is our leader for ecological initiatives. So he's working at the moment at the academic level on the climate issue in Poland to create contacts on that. And we have a few contacts with civil rights and human rights organizations, because in the past we had a European Citizen Initiative on the rule of law, but it was really early stage. So it's about revamping that contacts and involve them in the Congress. So to prepare something to invite them, and also to use these weekly meetings every Thursday to maybe bring people for a different topic, to start to have some preliminary conversation, but also identifying the regulatory framework for the different issues, so that, I mean, we don't do everything in 2 days in Warsaw. It's more to prepare what is going to be discussed in Warsaw. Okay, Sibylle is saying if we can share proposals and contact list and have a specific meeting on this restricted one, if necessary, I am, I guess, available. Okay, so maybe what I can do for the next meeting is to prepare a bit of an overview of the different topics and where we have contacts and ideas and where we don't. And maybe I can start to circulate that in advance, and we can start to enrich the framework of the initiatives, and then everyone can see if you have contacts and ideas, or if we don't have anything, we can search together and start to build up the infrastructure. But for example, I don't know if you girls, it's your first meeting, so if already for what we have said, you have some ideas or connections or okay, thank you, Isabella. She shared a contact there. Let me save it. Okay. So I'm gonna circulate the, I mean, me and Marco had the plan to work on the review of the concept note that you have already seen. So maybe we can circulate an updated version of that with this framework of contacts, partners, and from a methodological perspective, the idea of EUMANS is to try to combine the scientific and juridical approach with the activist side. So to try maybe find people that can help us to have the expertise and people that are already working on some issues, and try to combine the two elements together. Okay, so for next week, we have the framework done. In the meantime, Lorenzo, did you already mention the Italian initiative? Since there are a lot of Italians, do you want to pitch?
No, yeah, Yeah, I was just mentioning that, but just a few words on this. Today we started the collecting of signature for a proposal of law of popular initiative on the institution of a citizen assembly on climate issues in Italy. Something similar has been done in France with the Convention citoyenne pour le climat. And we started this with EUMANS and the coalition Politici per Caso. So the objective is to collect 100 signatures in 6 months, 50,000, sorry, in 6 months. And so today we just started it. We need to understand what is the best way and strategy to do so. And I think the main, the most important thing of why these citizen assembly are working around the world, in particular regarding climate issues, is that solutions that usually traditional politicians are not tackling, such as cutting funding for fossil fuel or for intensive farming or investments in renewables energies. These kind of policies can be easily tackled by citizen assembly because there are less interest on the one hand. We know that elected politicians can be more easily influenced by particular interest, and also because these are long-term solutions. Climate change in general is not apparently an issue bringing consensus. And so, since a citizen assembly is not linked to the problem of getting more consensus, being re-elected for member of the assembly, many times this is the best way to tackle environmental solution. So with this, the launching of this initiative, we hope that we will have this environmental citizen assembly in Italy. And of course, it's something that should be replied also at European level, in particular regarding environmental issues. I think it should be a global assembly. But let's start maybe in Warsaw. We could restart talking, because I know that there is this intention, this willing with the coalition Citizens Take Over Europe, and probably one of the issues at the heart of this Congress should be to realize a European Citizen Assembly.
Thank you, Lorenzo. So to summarize and activate our brains toward Warsaw, the 4 areas, I repeat them because are kind of the political center of the goal, is civil rights, starting from LGBTQ rights, end of life decisions, cannabis legalizations are for sure things where we have some expertise and connections, and how to transform that into European level proposals. Ecology and economy with the framework of the carbon pricing, but not only that. Rule of law and democracy and political rights, and all digital rights aspect, in particular the interoperability of digital platforms, civic artificial intelligence, privacy, and so these type of rights are the main cornerstone of the Congress in Warsaw. And then the underlining element is always information, in terms of information to citizens about their political rights, but also information in terms of how the media works, maybe the need of a European public service information and other forms of to ensure the quality of the media, both in the political coverage, but also, as we saw today, in relation to the freedom of the media to do their job as media. Okay, so I will follow up with the updates, and feel free to throw any ideas that you might have in advance before next Thursday. And thanks for being with us tonight. To the Bruxellois also, because it's bank holiday, so thanks for joining during a bank holiday.
Bye all.
Thank you. Bye. Ciao.